And I'm a one woman.
So we have to take a lot of pain, a lot of effort to teach children how to get along with one another.
Your raw material is money.
Of course.
But it is not your money.
It is not
That
yours.
is the biggest challenge. So if you do not fear God, you will end up misappropriating this money and taking it to be your own. Yet it is just what you're using to do the work that you're doing.
So ego is very dangerous to me, and we should avoid the extremes.
This program exists to equip, challenge, and empower men to expand their family leadership capacity for national transformation. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are watching us from around the world. You're very welcome to the Inspired Family Leader Program with Samuel A. Bakutana, your host, a certified executive coach, an award-winning leadership consultant, a global speaker, experienced facilitator, and author of 26 books in the areas of leadership, business, education, relationships, wealth building, to mention but a few. The CEO of Inspired Leaders International, which is an international leadership development firm that empowers leaders to transform nations, and the provincial Fathers Union president in Uganda. What a joy to have you tuned in today as we talk about leadership thoughts. We are going to be sharing very important leadership thoughts, especially for husbands and fathers. Of course, you know that leadership, it works. It's about principles in different contexts. So whether you are a young person or an old person, whether you are a girl or a boy, a man or a woman, a husband or a wife, a father or a mother, the thoughts I am going to be sharing with you concerning leadership will work for you. But because this program exists to equip, empower, encourage, and challenge men specifically to expand their family leadership capacity for national transformation, we are specifically saying leadership thoughts for fathers and husbands. But what we are going to be sharing today will benefit everyone who is watching right now. Happy New Year and Happy New You in the Happy New Year. I one time read a book which is quite a famous one all over the world. Simple, small, but precious book by Robert Kiyosaki. Can you guess which book that is? I want to believe that you guessed it right if you are a good reader of books, because it is very famous. The book is Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Did you get it right? All right. Now, in Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki talked about 4 skills that everyone needs in order to succeed in life, regardless of the work they do, regardless of your vocation, regardless of how you spend your life. 4 skills that you need in order to be really successful, to hit it big in life, to impact, to be a person that is enviable to very many. Number 1, he talked about effective communication, specifically public speaking skills, that everyone needs to be able to stand up and communicate their thoughts. In fact, it was Lee Iacocca, the former chairman and CEO of Chrysler Motors in the US, who said, you may have brilliant ideas, but if you cannot put them across, your ideas are taking you nowhere. End of quote. What a statement. You may have brilliant ideas, but if you cannot put them across or get them across, your ideas are taking you nowhere. So the issue of being able to communicate effectively, specifically to stand up in public and address an audience, public speaking skills. And then number 2, he talked about basic accounting skills. We are talking of Robert Kiyosaki. Basic accounting skills. Being able to know that this is where my money came from And this is where it went. So I got money from this, I got money from this, I got an income from this, I got money from this. All of it is this total, and this percentage went here, this money went here, this money went here. That being able to have the basic accounting skills, so that when it is in January, you don't ask, where did my money go? Yet you know you are the one who has been using it. You don't say how many months are in January because of what you did in December with your money. So Robert says you need to have basic accounting skills. Being able to know where your money came from and where it went. As basic as that. Of course, that speaks into the aspect of financial record keeping. And then number 3, he talked about selling skills. Selling. You could be selling a product. You could be selling a service. You could be selling a program. You could be selling knowledge. You know, you are a consultant. You are an advisor. Whatever it is, you could even be simply selling yourself in form of human capital resourcefulness. When you get into the interview room, you are getting into a selling conversation. Because when you start to talk about yourself, who you are, what you are able to do, what it is you are bringing on the table, what you know about the organization, what you see yourself contributing in the coming days, your specific skills, the knowledge you have, the experience you come with, all that, you are selling your resourcefulness. So Robert says, you need to be able to be a good salesman or saleswoman. You need to have good selling skills. But number 4, Robert says, you need leadership skills. Leadership. And as we talk about this, we do not want to complicate matters for you. So we will not get into the dictionary definition or the concordant definition or etymology of the word leadership in order to understand it. No. We will keep it simple. Of course, when you ask people, what is leadership? I don't know. What would you say? I wish I could hear you speak right now. When you hear somebody say leadership, what comes to your mind? Of course, some people, and I have met many of those kinds of people that I am about to talk about, when you say leadership, they quickly think of politics. For some reason, many people boil down leadership to politics, which is wrong. Or maybe I shouldn't say it's wrong, I should say it's not fully correct. It's not the whole truth. Because there is political leadership, there is business leadership, there is media leadership, educational leadership, family leadership, spiritual leadership, to mention but a few. So when we say leadership, just take it as influence. In fact, a gentleman called John C. Maxwell, Dr. John Calvin Maxwell, the founder of Equip Incorporated, the founder of the Maxwell team, he says leadership is influence, no more, no less. Leadership is influence, no more, no less. In other words, when you use the word influence, here we are saying if certain people are doing certain things a certain way because of you, if they are thinking a certain way because of you, if they are starting to behave a certain way because of you, you are a leader, you have led them. Because you have become the reason why they are what they are, why they behave the way they behave, why they are going the direction that they are going in life. So you have influenced them, you are a leader. So quick recap of how far we have come with this conversation is that Robert, in his book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, he mentions that you need 4 important skills to be successful in life. Number 1 is public speaking. Number 2 is basic accounting skills. Number 3 is selling skills. And number 4 is leadership skills. And we are saying leadership is basically about being able to influence someone. In fact, many years ago, more than close to 15 years ago, I attended a seminar, a leadership seminar, where this brother, Trevor Waldock from the UK, said leadership is the ability to create a story that influences the thoughts, the words, the actions of people. That it's the ability to create a story that influences the thoughts, the words, and the actions of people. That's leadership. So today I am sharing with you very important leadership thoughts, especially for you as a husband to some wonderful lady, as a father to some children, but also you who is watching, regardless of whether you are a father or not, regardless of whether you are a husband or not. Like I said at the start, leadership is about the principles you need to be able to master in order to influence somebody. So that happens for everyone, whether you are young or old, whether you are female or male, whether you are husband or wife, whether you are a mother or a father, whoever you are, wherever you are in any field, these are principles. Now, having said that, I want to specifically bring to you 3 words, and they form the acronym of the word SIR. So, SIR. Number 1, sensitivity. Number 2, integrity. Number 3, responsibility. I want to share some leadership thoughts around those 3 things. And to begin with is the issue of responsibility. In this year, I want to call upon you to up your game concerning how you lead the people that you lead, by realizing that leadership is more of a responsibility than opportunity. In my country, Uganda, in East Africa, where I am right now, we are about to have elections of new leaders for the country in the next few months. This year is a year of campaigns, is a year of primary elections and campaigns in different political parties across the country. Next year, we will be voting for leaders of the country. We will be voting for the president. We will be voting for the members of parliament. We will be voting for the local government leaders. LOC 1, LOC 2, local council 3, local council 4, the county, the constituency, and the local council 5. And many others, you know. And many people are going to be on sort of a gold rush. It's like they are rushing for positions because somehow they have convinced themselves that leadership is a bed of, I know you said roses, but I wanted to say opportunities. They say that leadership, especially the positions, they are a bed of opportunities. But they don't really usually think about how much it is about responsibility than it is about opportunity. In fact, whenever you see somebody scrambling for a position of leadership, almost wanting to kill people, to annihilate somebody, to character assassinate, to mud-sling, and do all that in order to be the person to take up a certain position of leadership, I suspect 2 things always. Number 1, I think they don't understand leadership. They don't understand leadership. People who understand leadership don't rush for it because they know that it may be more of a burden than a blessing sometimes. They know that leadership is a magnet for problems. They know that leadership is a heavy responsibility. It gives you a lot of obligation, duties, responsibilities, to mention but a few. They don't rush for it. Many times, they just are forced within them, compelled inwardly by passion and purpose to come up and do something about a situation they see. So that is my suspicion, number 1, that they don't understand leadership when they are fighting for a position of leadership. But number 2, I often suspect that even if they understand it, they have some hidden motive why they must be in this position. They have, is it called ulterior motives? There is a calculation they are making here that may be about themselves. Leadership is more of responsibility than opportunity. And at this moment, I want to share a quotation from Dennis Rainey. Dennis Rainey is an author. He has written a book on stepping up, a book on leadership, concerning family, concerning marriage, and so on and so forth. And he says, I quote, "A husband's leadership in marriage is not based on superior abilities, but on divine placement. Leadership means assuming responsibility for the relationship, being accountable to God, and putting your wife's needs above your own. It means making her load lighter, not heavier." Let me read it again. Dennis Rainey. He says, "A husband's leadership in marriage is not based on superior abilities, but on divine placement. Leadership means assuming responsibility for the relationship, being accountable to God, and putting your wife's needs above your own. It means making her load lighter, not heavier." End of quote. What a statement. What a statement. It's reminding us as men that our leadership, because we have been taught that a man is the family leader, is the leader of the family. In my family, our vision has something to do with leadership. And so as a result, in my family, everyone is a leader. But I am the leader of those leaders. So, Dennis Rainey is reminding us that yes, we are called the family leaders, but that leadership is not because we have superior abilities. It's not because the husband has superior, qualities. For example, he's the most brilliant one. Maybe he's the most intelligent, he's the most educated. Not necessarily. That our leadership in the family, especially in the marriage arrangement, is not because of superior abilities. It is because of divine placement. Now, he brings in the divinity, the part of divinity. That we have been placed into that position of headship, of leadership in our family by the Creator and the initiator, the beginner, the starter, the originator of the institution of marriage, of the institution of family. He simply placed us into that position divinely by his choice. Not because we had some specific superior abilities. Maybe there could be a few by the nature of how he created us, maybe physical strength and so on and so forth. But it is more of divine placement than superior abilities. So Dennis Rainey says, therefore, remember that leadership is about you assuming responsibility for the relationship, being accountable to him whom divinely placed you into the position of leadership over your family, raising the needs of your wife above your own, and making sure that you lighten the load on the shoulders of your wife. Wow. What a challenge. Do you realize that this kind of a leadership that does this knows that it is about responsibility and not opportunity? Come to think about it. If you are going to be a better leader this year, you better change your thinking from opportunity to responsibility, or from opportunity to responsibility, from opportunity to responsibility. Do the same that I'm doing right now. Just say, from opportunity to responsibility. Please do it with me. Let's go. From opportunity to responsibility. And we are doing this because we are deprogramming our mind and reprogramming it. Deprogram from that thinking of saying leadership is about grabbing things. It's about being the big boss. It's about having opportunities lined up. It's about the big parks. It's about the increment. It's about people carrying bags for me. It's about, no. You deprogram yourself to lead better. Deprogram yourself from thinking about opportunity, and all that, to now thinking in terms of responsibility. That even, let's take it outside the family, that even when you are the CEO of a company, if you are the executive director of a bank, if you are a managing director of an international business conglomerate, if you are a country representative of whichever institution, the way I am the Uganda chapter chairperson for the International Association of Facilitators in Uganda, you keep remembering that you are there to take up responsibility, not to tap into opportunity. If you are to ever think of leadership in terms of opportunity, see it as an opportunity to change life, an opportunity to influence positive things, an opportunity to transform nations, an opportunity to develop institutions, an opportunity to make people's burdens lighter. Otherwise, think in terms of responsibility. I am responsible, I am accountable, it is up to me, and the buck stops with me. If anything is going to happen well here, it is up to me. And then you equip teams through which you can be able to produce results. Because leadership is really about influencing results through teams, through people that you lead. So this year, be a better leader by moving away from a thinking of opportunity to a thinking of responsibility. Number 2 is to remind us that effective leadership requires sensitivity. Effective leadership requires sensitivity. This being the Inspired Family Leader program, think about leading your family with sensitivity. This year, you can be a better leader by being a more sensitive husband, by being a more sensitive father. And when I say sensitive, I don't mean somebody who walks on eggshells. I don't mean the sensitivity of people saying something, and because you are too sensitive, because you are very sensitive, not in a way that I mean what we are about to talk about, you erupt, you become angry because you are too sensitive. When they say something, they easily hurt you, you become easily angered. That is not the sensitivity I am talking about. Because then that takes away the freedom of people to express themselves in your presence. It takes away the freedom for people to share with you feedback, because they know any moment they say anything, you are too sensitive to receive feedback, so they will keep quiet. In fact, somebody one time said that a leader who does not listen will be surrounded by people who have nothing to say. A leader who does not listen will be surrounded by people, by followers who have nothing to say. Imagine when you go into a meeting and if they put up hands, you keep them down, they ask a question, you don't answer that one, they bring an idea, you shoot it down, and so on and so forth. A time comes whereby they simply keep quiet. So there you are very sensitive, but in a different manner from what I mean today. The sensitivity I mean today is being able to know when to go, how far to go, and when to stop, when to sit, knowing when to come and when to go. That sensitivity of not going to the extremes that are harmful, yet not being laid back. And I think the best way I can make this clear to us who are viewing is by using the words of Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn was one of America's foremost business philosophers who wrote a number of books, including a small book I read many years ago, and it really helped me, especially in the world of personal development, in the world of being organized, in the world of planning, and so on and so forth. He said, he wrote a book titled The 7 Strategies of Wealth and Happiness. The 7 Strategies of Wealth and Happiness. And in that book, he wrote a statement. He said, the challenge of leadership is to be strong but not rude, to be kind but not weak, to be bold but not bully, be thoughtful but not lazy, be humble but not timid, be proud but not arrogant, have humor but without folly. Do you see the sensitivity we are talking about here? Let me read that statement again. Jim Rohn, J-I-M, Jim Rohn, R-O-H-N. He says, The challenge of leadership is to be strong but not rude, to be kind but not weak, to be bold but not a bully, to be thoughtful but not lazy, to be humble but not timid, to be proud but not arrogant, and to have humor without folly. Let's break this down. A very important leadership thought here. And honestly, I am glad he called it a challenge, that the challenge of leadership is, because that is it. It is a challenge for every leader. You realize that in this statement, he brings out some 7 specific aspects of leadership that need to be balanced sensitively. Number 1, strength, being strong. As a family leader, you need to express strength. You need to be a strong leader, strong in character, strong in protecting your family, strong in decision making, strong in leading your family, but not rude. In other words, the sensitivity here is go forth with strength as you lead, but remember to be polite in your strength. So the sensitivity is having politeness in your strength. Big challenge. And then secondly, he talks about being kind, but not weak. In other words, you cannot be an effective leader if you are not kind. If you don't consider others with kindness, if you don't consider your wife, your children with kindness, if you don't consider the people you supervise and you treat them with kindness, there is a lot about kindness that deals with being empathetic, putting yourself in the shoes of the person you lead. And you say, what if I were the one? If I was in the shoes of my wife, what would I have wanted to be done to me in this situation? If I were this son of mine, if I were this daughter of mine, what is it that I would want to be done to me? And so, how should I also behave towards them? Kindness has a sense of empathy. But Jim Rohn says, while you're trying to be kind, don't be weak. There is a difference between kindness and weakness. Because sometimes when people are trying to be kind in their leadership, they tone it down to a point of diluting it and watering it down to a place of weakness. They misunderstand, they mistake kindness and weakness. Those are two different things. And then number 3, he says, be bold, but not a bully. I am telling you, leadership requires boldness. One of the reasons why leadership requires boldness is simply because you have to make tough decisions most often. There are moments when everybody will simply look at you, waiting for you to give the marching orders, to call the shots, to make the decision, to give the instruction, to show the direction, to tell people what to do, to call forth for action. That moment, you require boldness. But also, you require boldness in your leadership because leadership requires truth-telling. Looking your wife in the face and you say, darling, thank you for your idea, but truth is we are not going to go with that one because of this and this and this reason. So, tomorrow, join me, let's do this. It takes boldness. I always remember Joshua in the Bible, Joshua chapter 24, verse 15. I've never seen anywhere where they say, and then Joshua invited his family, sat down with his wife and children, and they had a consultative meeting to decide on which God to serve, whether the God of the Amorites and the Ammonites and the Moabites, or he simply said, as for me and my family, we will serve the Lord. There is a point where, as a family leader, you need to be bold enough to make important godly declarations for your family to go forward. Yet, Jim Rohn warns us. He says, be bold, but not a bully. In the process of being bold, making tough decisions, speaking out the truth, calling the shots, don't be a bulldozer. Do not be a bully. The challenge. And then he goes on, so strong but not rude, kind but not weak, bold but not a bully. Then he talks about being thoughtful but not lazy. One of the things I do is that I am a certified executive coach. I was trained by Coach Masters Academy in Singapore and Harvard Business School, and I am right now a member of the International Coaching Federation, ICF. In coaching, one of the things that we do is what we call holding space for the client in form of creating a safe environment that can enable reflection. Because many leaders don't take time to really sit back or step backwards and reflect. There is a difference between thinking and reflecting even when they are related. Thinking largely brings in like reasoning and hard stuff of the brain, but reflection has a softer part of the brain, of the activity of the brain. You hold space for the person before you to reflect. You ask empowering questions that will be thought-provoking and cause the person to develop better, greater thought patterns through important reflection. As a leader, you need to learn to be thoughtful, to be reflective, to let your life, to let somebody hold space for you and you reflect about where you're coming from as a family, about where you are now, the state of the family. The other time, last year, when the president of our country here in Uganda gave the State of the Nation address, I put out very important information and I said, now that the president has given the State of the Nation address, every father should also give the State of the Family address. To think through how your family is and talk about it. That requires you to be thoughtful. Think about it. Where have we come from? Where are we? And where are we going? What's going on? Reflection, thoughtfulness. But as you are doing that, Jim Rohn says, be thoughtful but not lazy. So some people, they claim they are reflecting, they claim they are thoughtful, but instead they are being lazy. They are not taking action. So reflection is important. Any leader who wants to be a better leader needs to have moments when they step back and reflect. In fact, John C. Maxwell, the one I talked about at the start, the author of the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, the author of the 17 Indisputable Laws of Teamwork, the author of Teamwork Makes the Dream Work, the author of Attitude, the Difference Maker, the author of Intentional Living, he says that when a leader pauses to reflect, growth catches up with him. When a leader pauses to reflect, growth catches up with him. So if you are going to lead your family well, you need to have moments when you step aside and be thoughtful. But remember not to overstay in the place of reflection, and now you exhibit and demonstrate and display laziness. And number 5, he says, be humble but not timid. Quite related. Humility is a powerful quality and hallmark of effective leadership. Humility. Remember, all this, we are talking about the issue of effective leadership requiring sensitivity. So, you are strong, but you are sensitive enough not to be rude. In your being kind, you are sensitive enough not to be weak. In your being bold, you are sensitive enough not to be a bully. In your being thoughtful, you are sensitive enough not to be lazy. And in your being humble, you are sensitive enough not to be timid. I have often shared this, that many people think they are humble when actually they have poor visibility skills. They disappear thinking they are being humble. There is a difference between being humble and not knowing how to be visible. So here what we are talking about is a matter of character. What we are talking about here is making sure that you don't overestimate who you are, or you don't underestimate who you are intentionally. I learned that from my dear wife, Miss Universe, the queen of my heart, Honorable Charity, my watermelon. She attended a leadership training somewhere, and they taught them that being proud is not only about overestimating yourself. It is also when you understate your capabilities intentionally. You intentionally underestimate who you are. For example, they say, wow, that was a brilliant talk that you gave, my brother, my sister. Well done. And then you say, that's not true. It wasn't nice at all. I know. But in your heart, you know, you aced it. That is pride. Pride is not only when you overestimate your importance, it's not when you overstate your usefulness, but also when you undercut who you really are. So here he says, be humble, but not timid. In fact, the next one, he says, be proud, but not arrogant. There is a difference between feeling proud. He says, I am proud of what happened. I am proud of you, my son. I am proud of you, my daughter. I am proud of you, my wife. I am proud of you, my husband. I am proud of you, my staff member. I am proud of you, my pastor. I am proud of you, my neighbor. I am proud of you. There is a difference between that. It can also be facing yourself. I am proud of what I have done. I am proud of my achievement. I am proud of this degree. I am proud of, for example, last year, I wrote and published 10 books. I am honestly proud of that achievement. I had never done it before. The highest number of books I had ever written in 1 year, I think, was 2. Last year, I gave myself the greatest challenge of writing 12 books in 12 months. And by the end of the year, I had actually accomplished 10 of them. I am so proud of that achievement. But there is a difference between that kind of pride and arrogance. You see where the sensitivity comes in. Be proud of what you are achieving. Be proud of who you are. Be proud of your leadership, but don't be arrogant. Arrogance is corrosive pride. Arrogance is destructive overestimation of self. So friends, effective leadership requires sensitivity. Be strong, but not rude. Be kind, but not weak. Be bold, but not a bully. Be thoughtful, but not lazy. Be humble, but not timid. Be proud, but not arrogant. And finally, have humor, but without folly. Folly means foolishness. Remember, all this is a quotation statement by Jim Rohn. Have humor, but not folly, but not foolishness. In other words, Jim is saying, as a leader, there are moments when you need to lighten up tense situations just with a joke. There are moments where you need to simply speak from the humor side of it to lighten up the moment, to be more relatable, more relational, more approachable. There are those moments when the answer needs to be some sort of a humorous one in order to move on. Yeah. He says you need to learn how to crack 1 or 2 jokes here and there. Hopefully, they will be clean jokes. Hopefully, they will be relevant jokes. That's why he says, as you are having humor as a leader, also have the sensitivity not to go into folly, foolishness. Have humor, but without folly, without foolishness. So I hope this year you will learn how to be a sensitive leader who balances that kind of way of doing leadership in your family, but even beyond your family, in the community, wherever you are. Whether you are part of an investment club and you are a leader, you are a board member, you are a committee member, you are wherever you are, whatever it is that you do, you are a founder of a business, of an organization, you are an executive director, you are a coordinator of this and that. Know that effective leadership requires the sensitivity to balance between these kinds of qualities, beginning with your family where you are. And now, lastly, number 3, effective leadership begins with a heart of integrity. Effective leadership begins with a heart of integrity. Write that down. Effective leadership begins with a heart of integrity. I remember that man, the former leader of the nation of Israel, the king, King David. We are told that he was a great king in a way that he led the people of Israel out of the integrity of his heart and the skillfulness of his hand. Psalm 78 verse 72. So he did not only lead out of the skills that he had, but also the heart. And that reminds me of a statement by Confucius, one of those thinkers of long ago. He made a statement and said, to put the world in order, we must first put the nation in order. To put the nation in order, we must first put the family in order. To put the family in order, we must first cultivate our personal life. We must first set our hearts right. End of quote. Let me repeat it. He says, to put the world in order, we must first put the nation in order. To put the nation in order, we must first put the family in order. To put the family in order, we must first cultivate our personal life. We must first set our hearts right. My point here is that effective leadership, whether it is in your family as a husband or father, or outside your family, starts with the state of your heart. One time I read something to do with the education. And there was a gentleman called Benjamin Bloom who came up with Bloom's taxonomy, I think around 1956 or somewhere thereabout. And we learned that, from that we learned that there are three domains of learning. There are three domains of education. If you are to claim that you are educated, that you are a learned person, you need to ensure that three domains are given attention. And these are critical to leadership. One is the cognitive domain. The word cognitive means of the mind. Number two is the psychomotor domain. Psychomotor domain, psychomotor, motor, movement, issues of the hand, skills, etc. And then the affective domains, where we get the word affection. So the cognitive domain, the psychomotor domain, and the affective domain. In other words, issues of the mind or the head, issues of the hands, issues of the heart. He says for you to claim that you are educated, that you have learned, you need to be having knowledge, information, theories, awareness. But also, you need to ensure you have skills. You don't only know, you also know how you can do things with your hands, with any other parts of your body that is displaying skillfulness. And then number three, that you need to have values and principles around which your life rotates, the matters of the heart. And so my point here is for you to lead your family well going forward, or any other institution that you lead, any other formation that you lead, it starts with the state of your heart, the affective domain. Yes, you have the knowledge. Yes, you have the skills. But what is the state of the heart? Let me put it this way. The heart of the matter is the matter of the heart. Say that with me where you are. 1, 2, 3, let's go. The heart of the matter is the matter of the heart. You confused it. Let's say it right now. Ready? Let's go. The heart of the matter is the matter of the heart. If there is a lady seated next to you, imagine you go to her and you say, sweetheart, I love you with the whole of my head. She may look at you and wonder what it is that you have become. But if it is, I love you with the whole of my heart, it is quite meaningful. Why? Because the most important issues of life are not issues of the head, they are not issues of the hand, they are not matters of knowledge, they are not about how many degrees you have, they are not about it, they are issues of the heart. Who you really are. Your character. You realize that from our heart, that's where we can exercise things like compassion. You don't exercise compassion with the head, you exercise compassion with the heart. And if you are a leader who is not compassionate, whether it is in your family, compassionate to your wife, compassionate to your children, or outside your family, compassionate to other people you lead, definitely you won't be a leader that people will follow gladly. It is in the heart that we have things like love. Whereas we make a decision to love, whereas love is a decision and a commitment, that commitment is largely based in your heart and not your brain. And imagine if you're leading your family without love, you become a domestic terrorist. It is from the heart that we exercise empathy that I talked about a few minutes ago. It is from the heart that we exercise forgiveness. We choose to let our heart let go. One of the 10 books I wrote last year is called Move On. Move on. It's about defeating your past and unlocking your future. All these are matters of the heart. So national transformation begins with heart transformation, specifically at home, because of what Confucius said, that to put the world in order, first put the nation in order. To put the nation in order, we must first put the family in order. To put the family in order, we must first cultivate our personal life. That is, we must first set our hearts right. So you see, you set your heart right, you have cultivated your personal life. And because you have cultivated your personal life, you are able to put your family in order. And because your family is in order, the nation will be put in order. If different families are put in order, the nation is put in order. And if different nations are put in order, our world is put in order. I hereby call upon you, United Nations. I call upon you, World Bank, World Food Program, UNEP, UNESCO. Think about all the World Health Organization. I call upon you to think about the issue of impacting families. Because whether it is peace that you want, whether it is security, whether it is fighting hunger, whether it is removing conflicts and all that, it is not about the money you throw into all these kinds of things that you do. It is really about the heart. The heart of the matter is the matter of the heart. So if the programs you are running in any country have nothing to do with the transformation of a human heart, I can assure you, you are simply financing failure. I say it again. If any program you are running does not deal with the transformation of a person's heart, you are simply financing failure in perpetuity. So my brother, if you are to be an effective leader, it begins with your heart. It begins with setting your heart right, putting it in the right place. That cultivates your personal life, then you can put your family in order, our nation gets into order, and the world we live in gets into order. Focus on the heart. So ladies and gentlemen, especially you, the gentlemen, that I am focusing on today, we have talked about three things. Number one, leadership is more of responsibility than opportunity. Deprogram yourself from looking for opportunities in leadership and reprogram yourself of thinking about taking responsibility, being in charge, and being accountable. Not only vertical accountability, but also horizontal accountability. Vertical accountability in the form of answering to the one who created you and divinely placed you in your headship responsibility, but also horizontal accountability before the people that you are privileged to lead, your wife, your children, and the people outside your family. It's more of responsibility than opportunity. And secondly, knowing that effective leadership requires sensitivity. Knowing when to go and when not to go. Knowing when to move, when to stop. In fact, that reminds me, again, another king of Israel, Solomon, said something about that in his book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3, verse 3. In fact, from verse 1 going down to around verse 6, He says that on earth, under the sun, there is a time and a season for everything. There is time to cry, there is time to laugh. There is time to move, time to stop moving. There is time to build, time to break. There is time for everything. So know how to be sensitive. Otherwise, you will be like the gentleman who was at a funeral service. I was in that service myself. One of the family members stood up to give a speech, and then he turned to a representative of the funeral service. You know, those people who give funeral services. He turned to him and he said, "We would like to appreciate this and this company, funeral services company, for standing with us in this period of the loss of our friend, of our uncle." And the gentleman who was representing that funeral services company, when they mentioned that, he came up and laughed loudly in the church, in the funeral service, saying, "Yes, you are welcome." Everybody was looking at him saying, "No, wait. You are not sensitive. This is too much." Because they have thanked you, you are busy laughing as if we are here having good time. We have a coffin before us. Effective leadership requires sensitivity. And then number 3, we have said effective leadership begins with a heart of integrity. Put those 3 words, sensitivity, integrity, and responsibility, and you have the word SIR. Yes, sir. S-I-R. Sensitivity, integrity, and responsibility. Therefore, in this year, I would like you to do the best you can to be a better leader. Be a better leader in your family. Let your wife feel your good leadership. Let your children feel your good leadership. Let them be exposed to what better leadership looks like. And if you are to do that, then it is time for you to be strong without being rude. It is time for you to be kind without being weak. It is time for you to be bold without being a bully. It is time for you to be thoughtful without being lazy. It's time for you to be humble without being timid. It is time for you to be proud but not arrogant. It is time for you to have humor without having or displaying foolishness. Remember where we started from. You need 4 skills to succeed at anything: public speaking, basic accounting skills, selling skills, and leadership skills. This year, equip yourself in those skills. In fact, at Inspired Leaders International, where I serve as the Chief Executive Officer, in the month of March, we will be having the 41st intake of the Certificate in Public Speaking and Presentation Mastery. See you there. Until next time, let's go and be better leaders of our families, better leaders of the community, better leaders of organizations, better leaders of the nation, better leaders on this continent and all other continents, better leaders of this world. And together we can leave a great legacy behind in the spirit of honorable leadership. Until then, live exemplarily, love authentically, and lead relationally.
Just one wife. That you need the leadership skills of a general.
Yes.
To lead an army of one woman. So we have to take a lot of pain, a lot of effort to teach children how to get along with one another.
Your raw material is money.
Of course.
But it is not your money.
It is not
That
yours.
is the biggest challenge. So if you do not fear God, you will end up misappropriating this money and taking it to be your own. Yet it is just what you're using to do the work that you're doing.
So ego is very dangerous to me, and we should avoid the extremes.
This program exists to equip, challenge, and empower men to expand their family leadership capacity for national transformation.